Alright, Shalom, Shalom. Give me a second. Salaki. Give me 1 second. Give me a second. Alright, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Yahweh Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone that do me well and that taught me the truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. The Wadi Bahashim Yahweh Shai to give me the spirit to do this lesson and endow me with the Holy Spirit and the gift of prophecy and Adonai Matazah. Lord willing, through predestination, I too am counted worthy to escape all of these things, these coming horrors, and to stand before the Son of Man. Alright, so you already know what's up. It's your brother Gabar Shalom back at it again with another live lesson entitled Bill C-9, aka the Famine of the Word Bill, to go into effect here. Similar unrighteous decrees. Okay, and what I titled that because I Googled other places, right? Mainly here in the West, right? Canada, Australia. Well, C-19 would be the one for Canada. But I looked up similar unrighteous decrees for Australia, and for the UK and for America, Babylon the Great, right? Because these were the targeted places, you know, for draconian laws to really go into effect, like immediately, and for it to be immediately noticed, right? And we experienced that during the Ragamuffin during 2020, all right, during the lockdowns and all of that. What was it, Steimer, the damn president of the UK? It was it was the president of France, the lady. It was a female. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, look, if you don't get jabbed or you don't want a mask, you got to be quarantined for 14 days. And if you don't want to do it, if after 14 days you still refuse, you got to sit there for another 14 days. And if you keep refusing, you sit there for another 14 days. So these are the places that a lot of these draconian laws is going to go into effect. And the main one is what? Prohibiting us from teaching the word on the street, man. All right, so I asked this. I said, what are bills similar to the C-9 bill in C-9 bill in for America, UK, and Australia? Right? It says Canada's Bill C-19, the Combating Hate Act, amends the criminal code to criminalize obstructing access to religious or culture sites, defines hatred, penalizes public displays of hate symbols, and creates specific elevated hate crime offenses. And I was reading it in the maximum penalty is a life in prison. The one after that is 14 years, then 10 years, and then 2 years. But the maximum penalty you can receive, right? Because bro, they can decide, you said the so-called white man is going to a slavery, that's racist, that's hate. You can 15 years in prison. And look, these devils are dumb. We're not even gonna be here that long. Babylon the Great in the Empire of Edom. So if these niggas do say life in prison, what that is basically an excuse for them to either do a firing squad or chop our heads off, or basically put us through an act of martyrdom. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's all written. Right? It says similar legislations in the US, UK, and Australia reflects varying approaches to combating hate speech, and we'll dive into that here momentarily, man. So I thought this was interesting. I thought I had to get my add my 2 cents. You know what I'm saying? And we already got the Canada Bill C-9, so I'm reading this right here. Specific releases and new conditions. New hate propaganda offense. There's a particular part, right? New hate crime offense. So we'll tap into this, right? And this is from the Canada C-9 bill from the Justice Department of Canada, right? Government GC.Canada, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we'll tap into that, man, here momentarily. All right, but then I got this article. These articles from the End Time Headline going into this. Give me a second here. Right, it says this from the End Time Headlines. This is from March 27th. Earlier in the year, it says Canada's House of Commons passes bill that could potentially criminalize quoting the Bible. All right, so you see, it got that, what potentially looks like a Jake or, whoever. Okay, and the people that don't have the Holy Spirit, they're going to be the targets who yield the Bible because you're not the people of the Lord, and there's no real covering amongst those who are standing in the street yelling or holding signs. Okay, it says the majority of Canadian MPs have voted to pass a liberal bill that will allow, and I think I did a lesson on this article, but a lot of these points are going to keep coming back up because we are actively living, in prophecy, man. We actively living in the history that the Lord already, that He wrote, that He spoke and foretold from the founding before the world began. You know what I'm saying? Right? It said the majority of Canadian, I don't know what MP stand for. What is that? Prime Minister or something like that. It says have voted to pass a liberal bill that will allow the criminalization of religious expression and belief when quoting parts of the Bible. See, it says including about homosexuality and gender. Why? You want to know why they want to get rid of it? Bro, they have literally an LGBT, a ubiquitous Bible. They literally have that on Amazon. And matter of fact, so I ain't just capping and chatting. I'm gonna show you. Amazon. Amazon. LGBTQ Bible. Since this ain't no joke, man. They thought about they tried to do it. See, look, the homosexuality in the Bible, verses by verses, exposition of the gay verses. The gay, it says the gay in the Bible. It says the gay in the Bible. What scripture really says about homosexuality? The CSB Rainbow Study Bible. Rainbow Study Bible. See, it says God and the gay Christian. It says God and the gay Christian. The biblical case in support of same-sex relations. The scriptures don't support that shit. The Queen James Bible. Blasphemy. You see what I'm saying? And then they got the cross. So this is what I'm showing you. This is what we're saying. So they thought the different translations would try to, stumble us and create stumbling blocks and stuff like that, but it just adds on or it amplifies and gives us an even deeper understanding as far as us bringing out edification and exposing these different these different things these devils are doing. So they got a Queen James Bible. These is the devil. This man is the devil with the cross on it. The rainbow, and the rainbow isn't wicked. They attach their wickedness to the rainbow. It says the Queen James Bible, the gay Bible. It's called the gay Bible. The Queen James Bible is based on the King James Bible. No, it's not, because the King James Bible ain't gonna say, "Nigga, I'm a queen" or none of that. No, no, man. It says edited to resolve interpretive ambiguity and prevent homophobic misinterpretation. Nigga, we're gonna redo the Bible to make being a faggot okay. But see, and this is why this devil is going to be bound for 1,000 years, and after 1,000 years, this nigga is going to be wiped out. Remember, beware the beast man. Okay? And now he wants to take away your ability to speak on these things. We're going to get the scriptures, man. So let's go here. Let's go to Leviticus 19, man. Back to the basics. And this is with me. And on my phone, I'm doing a lot of back to the basics, and then on my laptop. And I'm going to go in here and do a video on the laptop here in a minute, man. So just give me a second here. I just wanted to give, really touch on this because, brothers, doing videos on it too. And I've done videos on it. We all did videos on it, but, it's more videos constantly coming out, man, because the bill goes into effect on July 14th. All right. All right. And I believe I had another article on it. So we're going to go back to that on Amazon, right? We're going to tap into this, right? The gay Bible. It's called the gay Bible, the Queen James Bible. Right. And then I got this article. This is from June 23rd. It says evangelical leaders sound the alarm on Canada's Bill C-9 removing religious speech defense. You know what I'm saying? Religious speech defense, Bill C-9. Right, according to a report from the Christian Post, evangelical leaders and religious freedom advocates in Canada are closely watching the implementation of newly enacted federal legislation known as Bill C-9, amid concerns that the law could have significant implications for religious expression and free speech. And they have laws like this in Canada, the UK, and Australia. And they're going to do it in Mexico and all of these things too. And South America, and they're gonna do it. They're obviously doing it with the small hats and all of this, and it's all to protect the small hats. All of this shit is for protecting the small hats. as they come down with their draconian law and their rule. All right, so we'll touch base on this too. Let me get a quick one. Leviticus 19. It's either Leviticus 18 and 19, right? So it's scriptures on homosexuality, being effeminate, in the Old Testament and the New. Okay, so it's in Romans and in Corinthians, man. We're gonna grab it. Right, whosoever lieth carnally with a woman that is a bondman. Okay, no. Leviticus 19. It might be 18, but I know it's Leviticus 19 as well. Let me see. Let's jump up here a bit. Salaki, bear with me. Thou shalt not glean. Okay, it might be Leviticus 18. You shall not defraud thy neighbor. You shall not do unrighteous. Thou shalt not hate thy brother. Thou shalt not avenge no bear any grudge. Okay, Leviticus 18. It's Leviticus 18 and Leviticus 20. So let's do Leviticus 18. It's Leviticus 18 and right, bestiality and homosexuality and laying down, you know what I'm saying, and two women scissoring, that's wickedness, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all wickedness, bro. This Leviticus 18 and 22, it says, Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind, it is an abomination. All right? This is in the NLT, Leviticus 18. This is why they want to get rid of it. This is why they have it. They said the Queen James Bible is a direct correlation with the King James Bible, and to prevent. And then in the same breath, let's read that bullshit again. These damn devils, man. See, they thought the amplified and NLT was gonna hurt us, but now they got a whole. It's called the Gay Bible or the Queen James Bible. Let's read it. It says the Queen James Bible is based on the King James Bible, edited to resolve interpretive ambiguity or ambiguity and prevent homophobic misinterpretation. Homosexuality in the Bible. It says homosexuality was first mentioned in the Bible in 1946. No, the fuck it wasn't. In the Revised Standard Version. No, as we're reading it out of the KJV, Leviticus 19 and 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with a woman. It is an abomination. And we're going to read it. Cross-dressing, all of those things. This is why Esau does that. Because he knows it's against the scriptures. Now, and then look, this is why they're going to be blotted out of the world. They're not going to be written. They're going to be an example of a nation of what not to do. It says there is no mention of or reference to homosexuality in any Bible prior to this. They're lying. They're lying. We read it, and look, we got the 1611 on deck. The 1611 KJV. We can read it in here. Leviticus 19. This is what they're getting ready to do, man. This is why they're gonna make an man offender for a word. We're gonna get that precept here in a bit, man. Lord willing. Leviticus 18 and 22, and we're gonna read it in another translation. Leviticus 18 and 20 in the 1611 King James Bible. So, and this is prior to, and there's no letter J's in the script in the 1611. So this is prior to 1942. See, these devils want to save face and see showing you Esau's the problem. Leviticus 19 and 22, it says, Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind, it is abomination. NLT, do not practice homosexuality. With having sex with another man as with a woman, it is a detestable sin. That is a capital offense. All right, let's get it in Leviticus 20. Right, let's get it in Leviticus 20, man. Right, it's gonna say, and a man that lieth with mankind with a woman, it is, both of them have committed abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Leviticus 20 and 13, and we'll read it in the 1611, because this is a big fat lie. 1946, right around the 1948ers, small hats, the big nose people, right? It says there is no mention of or reference of homosexuality in the Bible, in any Bible prior to this. Only interpretations have been made. Anti-LGBT Bible interpretations commonly cite only 8 verses in the Bible that they interpret to mean homosexuality is a sin. 8 verses in a book of thousands, right? But so there's justification why they're saying that. So this is heavily why they want to pass. Hey, they frame mischief by law, unrighteous decrees, man. You shouldn't want to you shouldn't want to have your children being taught by a fucking drag queen in school. Little boy and a little girl looking at this motherfucker talk about ABCs and 1, 2, 3. That nigga supposed to be put to death according to the word of the Lord. And this is what the Lord is gonna do to these people, man. It says the Queen James Bible seeks to resolve the interpretive ambiguity in the Bible as it pertains to homosexuality. There is no perfect Bible translation, but we wanted one that could not be used to spread hate in the name of our faith. You lying devil pieces of shit. So you saying fuck what the Bible say. Let's make our own Bible to make everybody feel better about what the Bible say about being a faggot, man. You niggas are weird. See, it says there's no perfect translation, but we wanted to make one. We wanted to make one that what we deem perfect. These niggas are the devil, and this is why they have these unrighteous decrees on standby, not just in Canada, but the UK, Australia, and for shit show Babylon the Great. You know what I'm saying? Right? Leviticus 20:13, it says, if a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them, NLT. And we'll read it in the KJV in the 1611 again, because we reading it out of Blue Letter, but then we go to the 1611, you know what I'm saying, which is prior to 1946. So these devils are lying. This is why in the kingdom of heaven, they're literally gonna be eating shit, man. In a lower state, dust shall be the serpent's meat, bro. On thy belly thou shalt go forever, man. You're going to be like that forever. Beware the beast man, because this is the shit that the beast man does when you allow them to procreate and you allow them to motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? Because he would desire to take his brother, to slay his brother and take their land and to replace them. That's what Christianity is based on, replacement theology. And replacement theology is not only the people, and who salvation pertains to, but it's the purity of the word of the Lord in general. Yahweh Ba'ashmiel Shai in general, man. It says if a man in the NLT, if a man practices homosexuality, having sex with another man as with a woman, both of them have committed a detestable act. They must both be put to death, for they are guilty of a capital offense. These niggas that's likened unto murder. That's a mortal threat. I did a video on that where that Edomite was threatened. He could have been a Jake. You know what I'm saying? But Edomite, a flooding khaki short wearing ass sodomite Edomite. You know, this nigga basically committed a mortal threat because he was like, nigga, I'll pound you real good. He was saying that to another man, and the dude told the cop, and the bitch didn't do anything. He committed a mortal threat because he threatened to sodomize him, man. That's like, nigga, I'll put a bullet in you. That's equivalent to that. That's a capital thing. That's a threat. That's a mortal threat, a crime against humanity, a crime against another human being. And this is what the laws of Yahweh Shemel Shah are supposed to protect everybody from. But see, you got this scumbag in power saying that it's okay, we're gonna pass laws so we can advocate for this shit. You know? Let's read this in the 1611, man. Leviticus 20:13. This is why he's going to be burnt with fire, man. Esau, Edom, the beast man. Right? Leviticus 20:13, it says, if a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them, man. This is why they have these bills on deck, man. You know? And there's more scriptures on that, man. Let's get another one. Let's get Romans, and I believe it's chapter 1. Where we at here? Romans chapter 1. Yeah, let's start here. This is Romans 1:20. It says, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Right? Those who are, going to try to make not repentant, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And or why they want to repent at the last minute, an excuse of, why that's enough to try to get out of here, man. But why, as an excuse to try to avoid that ass whooping the Lord getting ready to bring, because He's getting ready to judge this world, man. People are gonna believe that the Most High exists. Right now, they think this shit is a game and God don't exist. But we too knee deep in prophecy for that to even be a type of thing. Right, verse 21, because that when they knew the Most High, they glorified him not as the Most High, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. It says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Look at what's happening with the IURC. Look at what happened with Gorilla Hebrew, aka the quintessential chief priest, aka Pegasus, aka Peg Bundy. Alright? It says, and change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, right? Caesar Borgia. Okay? The Most High with his nipple out, or the black woman being God. You know what I'm saying? Even the Most High and Eve. You know, you know, Yvonne or Yvette and Eve. You know what I'm saying? His pictures are 1,000 words, man. Okay? It says, and change the glory of the uncorruptible power into an image made like to corruptible men, into birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things, right? You equated that to being God, man. But that's blasphemy. That's wicked. That's why he killed them niggas in Venezuela, man. But see, you know, we know that, I got video, I may have to tap in and do these videos on my phone as well about the HARP device. I'll share it. I did a YouTube short on it. Okay? So it's looking like these devils use them HARP machines. And a brother posted a video of 1,000 kids going missing. 100,000 kids going missing in Venezuela during the rubble. So what they're doing is they need them children to sacrifice on them altars because they trying to keep this motherfucking this what is it? It's a house of cards, a charade. What was that? It was Nero, the triumphal arch. It was made of paper mache. They trying to keep this paper mache shit going. You know what I'm saying? And it's crumbling, man. Right, verse 24 says, wherefore the Most High also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own heart, meaning they desired to abandon the Most High and go be a faggot. That's what they really wanted. And so that's why the Lord, and Tazariak, he just recently got cut by Sinetta. You know what I'm saying? So now he back on these podcasts and shit. So these guys are you know, abandoning, the simplicity in Yahweh Shai, man. It says, wherefore the Most High also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Right, because like I said, Tazariak was debating this dude Sonnet or whatever, basically saying, does the Most High create you to be a homosexual, knowing that it's against His laws or whatever, just to destroy you and all of that? And that's facts. That's the thing. And we're reading this right now. Says who changed the truth for the Most High into a lie. And this is not this what this devil's doing. He changed the truth for the Most High into a lie. The Queen James Bible, the Queer Bible, the Queen James Bible. Homosexuality wasn't written in the Bible prior to 1946. They're lying. And the Bible is an old book, man. It's an ancient book. These scrolls in the Bible existed prior to whatever the hell these niggas just said, man. On Amazon. So these people are the devil. Alright? It says, who changed the truth for the Most High into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator who is blessed forever. Amen. Yeah, you worship whatever the so-called white man feeds you people, man. And you worship other idols, man. New idols and ancient idols, man. Old pagan idols, man. It says, for this cause the Most High gave them up to vile affection. And we're going to read this in the NLT. For the Most High gave them up to vile affection. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, right? Being butch magnets, man. All right, bull dykes and all of these things. It says, and likewise also the men leave you right, pegging your man. And women are into that, pegging and dominatrix. They're weird. Women are weird. They're into that. They're demons. These bitches are demons. They're into pegging their men because they want to feel superior and dominate. These bitches are weird. That's why these hoes are gonna die in a nuclear fire, man. And that's why during these last days, man, they're gonna be getting ravished and eaten and things like that, man. That's what's getting ready to happen to you nasty assholes, man. Who desire you? If you desire to peg another man, you're wicked. You know what I'm saying? It says, and likewise also the men leaving the natural use of the woman burn in their lust one toward another. Men with men working that. And this is in Romans 1. So you niggas run to the New Testament to push your fucking white supremacy. And guess what? Romans tell you, New Testament, this is way after the gospel. This is way after Acts. This is way after Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So you can't use John 3:16 to justify being a faggot, man. You can't use John 3:16 to justify to be a Butch Magnus, man. Romans 1 cut all of that. It says, and likewise also the men leaving, and this is why they passing these unrighteous decrees, and we'll get that, and then we'll start tapping into this material. It says, and likewise also the men leaving the natural use of the woman burn in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of the error which was meet. Okay? It says, even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of the Most High, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do they do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So these people like doing what they're doing. It's all on TikTok, all on YouTube Short. Bro, if you just swipe on YouTube Shorts, it's none but bitches and people doing witchcraft, tarot cards. If you go on TikTok, it's none but women being whores. You know what I'm saying? Being witches. Talking about all of their sexual encounters. Big ass bull nose septum ring. Being demons. So the Lord, these people are wicked, bro. Okay? Let's read this in the NLT. Verse 26, it says that this is why the Most High abandoned them to their shameful desires. Even the women turned against the natural way to have sex, instead indulge in sex with each other. Let's read that again. Romans 1 and 26. That is why the Most High abandoned them to their shameful desires. Even the women turned against the natural way to have sex, and instead indulge in sex with each other. And the men, instead of having normal sexual relations with women, burned with lust for each other. Men did shameful things with other men, right? And I did that in the previous lesson. They tried to rape Lot. They tried to rape Lot and the angels. They tried to rape the Levite and the old man. You know what I'm saying? In the book of Judges. Okay? It says men did shameful things with other men, and as a result of this sin, they suffered within themselves the penalty they deserve. Right? The Lord burnt them niggas to the ground with fire and brimstone, and the Lord slayed those Benjamites. All right, because they gang raped to death that Levite's concubine. But initially they wanted to rape the Levite himself. It says verse 28, since they thought it foolish to acknowledge the Most High God, He abandoned them to their foolish thinking and let them do things that should never be done. Yep, so He can judge them. It says their lives became full of every kind of wickedness, sin, greed, hate, envy, murder, quarreling, deception, malicious behavior, gossip. They are backbiters, haters of the Most High, insolent, proud, and boastful. They invent new ways of sinning, and they disobey their parents. They refuse to understand, break their promises, are heartless, and have no mercy. All of these people are getting ready to die. That's what you don't understand. And as a result of us teaching these things, they're going to take away the word. Saying what we're saying is why they're doing this, creating a Queen James Bible. That's blasphemy, man. And this is why the so-called white men and any nigga that's trying to save them, you're going to be destroyed right along with them. Right? It says they know the Most High's justice requires that those who do these things deserve to die. The Most High's justice. This is the whoever made this These people are going to be judged by the Most High's justice, man. He's going to, hey, you know, the Most High's justice. Look, 400 years, it says the KJV, as it is called, has been in print for over 400 years and has brought more people to Christ than any other Bible translation. You people are demons. Who is Queen James? King James Bible is the most popular. Blah 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 blah. It says it is the brainchild and namesake James. I who wanted an English language Bible that all could own and read. The KJV is called as it is called. Yeah, so yeah, you create a faggot Bible. You devils, man. It says they know the Most High's justice requires that those who do these things deserve to die, yet they do them anyway. Worse yet, they encourage others to do them too. And this is what we're reading. This is what we're going into right now, and this is why they're going to get rid of the Bible. Not just anti-semantics and to protect the small house and all of that, but also the things that are written in these, that we're touching base on. Okay, so we can read a little bit of this C-9 bill definition of hatred. Okay, we can read definition of hatred. Right, it's two existing propagandas. It says publicly inciting hatred where it is likely to lead to a breach of the peace and willfully promote hatred. Saying Esau going into slavery, saying, when you read Psalms 137 and 7 and 8, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, right? And even the last verse in that chapter where it says, and take thy children and dash them against the stone. Guess what? That's gonna what? That's considered hate. Because we know these devils, when they conquered us over here, and they did the triangular slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, they took the babies and dashed them against the stones and killed the babies out of the woman. They ripped the babies out of the woman's stomach, and dashed them against the stone. So the Lord said that's going to be a recompense unto these Edomites, that we're going to take their babies and dash them against the stones. That's what they deem hate speech. But it's recorded in our history books in school that that's what they did to us. See, and Christianity upholds them being victims to never being rewarded of what Psalms 137 says, what Psalms 147 and 148 says, I believe. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and what? Two-edged sword in their hands, man, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and wrath upon the people, and to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, man. This is what's coming. And they're creating laws, all right, to say, you know what, that's hateful to say that. We got to do something about it. We got to imprison them for 15 years. That's wicked, all right? Let's get a precept. Isaiah 10. Isaiah 10 and 1, it says, woe to them. Salakia. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievous which they have prescribed, right? These unrighteous laws, making it a burden of what? Rebuking the gate to make a man an offender for a word, all right? So let's go back here. It says publicly, okay? It says publicly inciting hatred where it is likely to lead to a breach of peace. Basically what? If their peace of mind is being disturbed, if they can't walk down the street and be an idol worshiper in their mind and whatever, and if what's being brought out disrupts their peace of mind and disrupts their day. Basically, not the people not being told about their wickedness. Okay, where it is likely to lead to a breach of the peace and willfully promoting hatred, the new hate propaganda offense, or the new hate crime offense. The definition would specify that hatred involves detestation or vilification, and does not mean disdain or dislike. See, these devils use legalese, man, and they use a lot of confusion words. It says hatred consists of detestation. Let's look up this word detestation. Hatred, loathing, abhorrence, execration, right? Revulsion, abomination, disgust. So if we use the word, the banner, the ensign to measure the standard that the world goes off of and versus the standard that the Lord requires, and see that the world is not meeting that mark, that means the people are wicked, and we have a hatred, and we abhor, and we loathe, and we consider the things that the Heavenly Father considers an abomination, man. So they look at, because the Lord said, we read it, homosexuality is an abomination. Eating swine and being a sorcerer and being an adulterer and all of these things are an abomination. Let's look up vilification, condemnation, condemnation. You see, condemnation. Okay, criticism. Okay, and look, the Lord Yahweh Shai said that, man. And so they're gonna make it illegal to speak out against the things that the Lord deems as what vilifying or detestable. You see what I'm saying? You know, this is John chapter 3, and let's jump down, right? And I'll start at 18. This is St. John 3 and 18. It says, he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. And we prove that in Romans. They have pleasure in doing it, and also they have pleasure in teaching others to do it as well. Okay, so this is a culture here, a death culture, a culture of sin and rebellion against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And we want no parts in that culture, and therefore they're going to make us what? An offender for the word. Right? And the light is the truth of the matter. The word, okay, of everything, man. Right? It says, for everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in the Most High, man. All right, so yeah, they consider criticizing folks on the street and what in their lifestyle as detestable or vilifying. That's considered hate. Okay. See, it says the proposed definition of hatred has the potential to engage freedom of expression in Section 2B of the Charter. The proposed definition reflects the way hatred has been defined by the Supreme. See, their language, legalese, is a language that they use to confuse the people, because what they understand in their law, that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you're and see, that's all unrighteousness, because according to the scriptures, there's a law for ignorance. You know what I'm saying? But this devil says ignorance of the law is no excuse. You're a demon. Let's jump down. It says the new hate crime. It says the bill would create a new hate crime offense that would apply to the commission of any offense under the criminal code or any other act of parliament that is motivated by hatred based on race, national or ethnic origin, language, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability, sexual orientation or gender identity or expression. So if you criticize these things, you're, according to them, that's hate, and you're breaking the bill, C-9 bill. Okay, you're breaking that law, and that's gonna go into full effect in about a week and a half, man. 2 weeks, right? 11 days, 12 days, man, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, the new offense would have an increasing penalty structure that would provide for higher maximum penalties depending on the maximum punishment for the underlying offense. The specific offense that was motivated depending on what you said and how it hurt somebody and how severe it was. Like, nigga, you niggas are going into slavery and all of these different things. That could be labeled as mad severe. So the famine of the word is coming, man. And we're going to get them precepts, man. But I just want to show you these things is what the Lord requires those who are fighting up against the world with him to testify against. It says the specific offense that is motivated by hatred based on the relevant factors described above, if prosecuted by way of summary conviction, the maximum punishment for the new hate crime offense would be 2 years less a day. If prosecuted by way of indictment, the maximum punishment will range from up to 5 years to 10 years to 14 years or life imprisonment. These people are a devil, man. Let's read all the way down. It says, because the new hate crime offense is punishable by imprisonment, it engages the right to liberty under section what? The liberty to be a mote, the liberty to be a demon, to be a sodomite, and all of these different things, man. to have the liberty to do all of these things that's against the Heavenly Father, because the world this world is ran off of a culture that doesn't respect the Heavenly Father and doesn't care about what He expects and requires, man. You know what I'm saying? And this is why everybody that indulges in what they're doing in the World Cup, all of these things, they're all going to be wasted and destroyed, man, in the wrath of the Lord and in the wrath of Esau Edom as He takes away everybody's rights. Right? It says liberty under Section 7 and must be consistent with the principles of the fundamental justice. It says the minister has not identified any inconsistencies with the principles of the fundamental justice. It says the proposed hate crime offense is tailored to its objective of combating crimes motivated by hatred. They already labeling us as Black Hebrew Israelites and labeling us as a cult and a Black identity extremist group, and we're in the ADL and we're in the Southern Poverty Law Center, and you got the leaders of these groups, right? The Great Millstone, IURC, ISUPK, and these different things on there. So they definitely are labeling us as a hate group, a group motivated by hate. So these things are catered towards us stopping from rebuking and negate. It says, combating crimes motivated by hatred, which would be clearly defined by the bill. The scope of conduct covered by the offense is identical to that of the existing underlying offenses. The increasing penalty structure for the new hate crime offense is also tailored to the seriousness of the underlying offense and would not impact the discretion of sentencing judges to impose a sentence that is proportionate to the gravity of the offense and the degree of the responsibility of the offender. So they're going, depending on what you say, how it affect a person, and what level of severity it is that you said, and what or the level of severity that what you said hold, and against the person that you said it to, they're gonna judge all of that. They're gonna sit and counsel one another back and forth on what they're gonna do to you in unrighteous manner. You know, you know, that's what they're gonna do. Okay. So let me get another precept, and that was basically it on that. And then we'll get the AR overview, man. Let me see what we're working with. All right, so we'll wrap it up here in a bit. You know what I'm saying? I just want to touch base on this, man. Shalom to the hopeful elect, man. You know what I'm saying? Those that's tuning in, man. But you already know what's up. Where we at? Where we at? We got to get that in Isaiah 29. Is it Isaiah 54, Isaiah 29? That's going to make a man an offender for a word. Isaiah 29. Okay? Yep. This is Isaiah 29 and 20, right? It says, for the terrible one is brought to naught. Yeah, Esau Edom, this devil. He's brought to naught. So now he's going to come with all his laws that he's going to pull out of his bag of tricks, you know what I'm saying, on his way out the door because, he got a short time left. So he's brought to naught. He's exposed. He's revealed. And it really don't make no difference for this nigga to be, ruling at this point. It says, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch it for iniquity, it's like in all that watch for iniquity are cut off. Yeah, these people that indulge in that, man, in this Babylonian lifestyle, and this lifestyle everywhere. See, the UK, Australia, Canada, and America, they heavily push Moism. You know what I'm saying? And so they're going to be passing decrees that prevent you from teaching against that out of the scriptures. All right, it says that make a man an offender for a word and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. And what? These unrighteous laws are set up as a snare for us that reprove in the gate, man. Starting with our apostles and bishops and elders on down, right? It says, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught, man. NLT. It says, the scoffer will be gone. The arrogant one will disappear. It's like the arrogant will disappear, and those who plot evil will be killed. Yup, all of you people out here, right? And Edom, the tabernacles of Edom, it says those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear. A similar fate awaits those who use trickery to pervert. Let me read that. It says those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear. Let me read that again. It says, those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear, right? That make them an offender for a word. You're saying that they doing something sinister and evil and wicked and dark when, nigga, you're making light darkness. See? Let's keep reading. Right, it says, those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear. A similar fate awaits those who use trickery to pervert justice and tell lies to destroy the innocent. And this is what they're doing. This is what these laws are set up to do. You know what I'm saying? This is what these laws are set up to do. Salaki. Give me 1 second. This is what these laws are set up to do. Alright? You know? To convict the innocent. Let me read that one more time, man. Right? This is Isaiah 29 and 21 in the NLT. It says, those who convict the innocent by their testimony will disappear. A similar fate awaits those who use trickery to pervert justice, and it says a similar fate awaits those who pervert a similar. Let me read it again. Isaiah 29 and 21 in the NLT. It says those who convict the innocent, right, imprisoning those, right, for 14 years life for saying, you know, the Lord is going to destroy the Sodomites, bro. That's why he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for the same exact shit. That's not a lie. That's truth, and that's a fact, and it's biblical and it's historical. Right? It says those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear. A similar fate awaits those who use trickery to pervert justice and who tell lies to destroy the innocent. And this is what they're doing, man. Now let's get the amplified. And where were we going here? Okay. Psalm. We're done with that. So let's get Psalms 94. Psalms 94 and 21, I believe. So yeah, man. Psalms 94 and 20, my bad. Slakia. This is Psalms 94 and 20. And an Amplified Bible when it reads. See, these different versions of the Bibles, we use it to add on to the point, man. And it solidifies everything. Slakia. And it solidifies everything we're saying right now through the Spirit. But these devils creating a queer Bible, a Queen James Bible. Who is the Queen James? Y'all still and when it said who was King James in the in that little section, they still was unable to tell me who it was, so they didn't even show us who it was. It was because we know it's the devil behind it. Right? It says, can a throne, Psalms 94 and 20 in the Amplified Bible, it says, can a throne of destruction be allied with you? One which frames and devises mischief by decree under the sacred name of law, right? Oh, because it's legal, nigga, you gotta abide by it. No, the fuck we not. Just like they tried to make Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael, bow down to the golden calf. Esau's gonna make you bow down and worship the beast and do all of these different things and adhere to these unrighteous decrees, man. And we're not gonna do it. So they're gonna make us an offender for a word, and the Lord is basically taking away His word, man. All right, so we can tap into this a little bit. We basically, I think I read this already before. Okay, so we read this. We read basically the meat and potatoes of the article. So let's kind of go in here. It says the legislation officially titled the Combating Hate Act recently received a royal assent and is scheduled to take effect in the coming weeks. While the Canadian government says the measure is intended to strengthen protections against hate crimes and safeguard vulnerable communities, some Christian organizations. Let me read that again. It says, while the Canadian government says the measurement is intended, right? The measurement, right? It says, safeguard vulnerable communities. Some Christian organizations are expressing concerns over the removal of a long-standing legal defense related to religious speech. It says, while the Canadian government says the measure is intended to strengthen protections against hate crimes and safeguard vulnerable communities, and the small hats to protect the big nose people. Okay, yep, to protect the big nose people. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's for. You know, to protect them niggas, man. The big nose people. You see? So yeah, man, that's basically what we got going on, man. Right? So religion, to express it says the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada, uh, 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 Salaki. Salaki. All right, bet. All right, all right. Let's read this. It says the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada, the EFC, has responded cautiously, stating that it intends to carefully observe the law's effects once it is implemented. The organization acknowledged that the full consequence of the amendment remain unclear, but and like I said, it's it's July 1st, bro. So the elder did a video going into it being passed on the 14th of this month, July 14th. It officially going into effect, man. You know, now we can So what I did was I asked the AR overview, and we're gonna close out here in a second, right? So I asked the AR overview. It says, what are similar bills? What time is it? 4:30. It says, what are similar bills to the C-9 bill in America, UK, and Australia? So we already tapped into that. It says the United States says, due to the First Amendment, the U.S. does not have direct federal equivalence to broad hate speech law. Right? It says, however, and yes, they do, and they're gonna do it from different continents, and they're doing it by the way of what? Protecting vulnerable communities. You know, the small hats. Look at what happened with the Sandy Beach thingy, the little beach thingy that happened in Australia recently. The recent joint, the shooting that just took place in Montreal. Shit happened in the synagogues here in the U.S. So they're hitting different locations around the West over here on this side, so that way they can broaden their hate speech protection. You know what I'm saying? So they can fortify their stance. All right, as the elders put it. All right. So it says, however, similar protections and penalties are handled through, right, the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act, state level laws, right? It says provides federal funding and resources to assist state and local authorities investigating and prosecuting hate crimes, expanding protections to include gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, and disability, right? And this is what they're doing. But in Canada and these different places, they're in Australia, they're euthanizing the maimed and the blind. You know what I'm saying? And you know, they see Yahushua healed the maimed and the blind. The disciples and the prophets healed the maimed and the blind and the dumb. You know what I'm saying? These niggas abduct you, experiment on you, euthanize you, perform false miracles to heal you for temporarily just to, you know, be a demon to you, man. Many U.S. states enforce specific penalties for institutional vandalism, protecting religious and cultural centers, right? Synagogues, you know, the small hats, basically. So they're fortifying their stance to take away this word by having these different events and these mass shootings take place all throughout the West. UK, Australia, Canada, and America, Babylon the Great. And you know, in them locations that I listed, it fortifies that, man. Okay? It says the UK. And remember, you got the California's Bible Ban Act, right? Brothers did videos on it. You know what I'm saying? But way before I came into the truth, because that's how I knew about it. Is when I came in and I didn't know. Because that was a bill that came out in like 2012, 2016, or whatever. It says the UK has robust and established legal frameworks that directly govern hate speech and public related and related public. Let me read that again. It says the UK has robust and established legal frameworks that directly govern hate speech and related public order offenses. Public Order Act 1986, Part 3 of this act criminalizes the incitement of racial and religious hatred, including the display of hateful materials or signs in public. The 12 tribes charts and the signs of how they put our people with that had the yoke of iron on our neck and chains, and Esau Edom beating the shit out of us and then burning us, being and hanging with trees, and how and us in verses in the scriptures on how we're gonna get revenge. You know, and the Lord telling Edom, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. You see what I'm saying? It says the Crime and Disorder Act. So brothers that's why the brothers in the UK, they gotta be smooth. Brothers in Canada and Australia, they gotta be smooth, and we do too, because they up in the ante on this shit, man, here in Babylon, and they're doing it real quickly and real subtly, man. It says the Crime and Disorder Act 1998 introduces specific racial and religiously aggravated offenses, allowing for enhanced sentencing when a crime is motivated by hostility or hatred. But see, they say it's signs and material in public, right? It says Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Act 2022. It says expands the power of the police to manage protests in public assemblies, including tougher penalties for intentionally blocking or obstructing access to locations and monuments. Boom, now we hitting Australia. Since Australia tackles hate crime and extremist propaganda through federal, state, and remember, you just had the Sandy Beach thing happen with looks anti-semantics, bro. So you just had that happen, and then you had this one in Montreal, man. So a lot of these devils are doing this, bro, to fuel that and fortify their stance as to why they're gonna remove and outlaw the scriptures, man. Street preaching, man. So the famine of the word is coming, man. Making men offended for the word is coming, and people gonna turn the snitch to save face, man, for Esau, man. All right, Salaki. Right, it says combating anti-Semitic hate and extremism, criminal and migration laws bill empowers the federal government to designate and ban hate groups and introduce, brothers at camp. A camp is would be considered a hate group. It says it introduces severe criminal penalties for members, recruiters, and financiers of these organizations. Members, recruiters, and financiers of the organization. Brothers that handle tithes, handle the alms of the camp. Brothers that give orders. Brothers that you tap into through the chain of command through the channel. Your guide. You know, the person you tap in with that bring you into the camp and that advocate for you. Stuff like that. You know, so they're gonna deem men, responsible. You know, the camp heads and stuff like that, the leaders, man, they're gonna dim. You know, so these devils know what they're doing, and we're not ignorant of his devices. This Criminal Code Act 1995 contains specific provisions outlawing the public display of terrorist and hateful symbols, as well as offenses related to advocating terrorism and inciting violence against specific groups. Well, what about during in Arkansas, or what was it in Arkansas? You know, where the police and the KKK was going around handing flyers to the police when it was that protest during Little Rock, Arkansas, man, recently. It was in 2025, man. You know, and them Jakes had to run them devils out the neighborhood, but they was going around passing out flyers to police saying, "Yeah, man, we gotta band together and get these niggas." What about that? So you see, these devils are hypocrites. It says Racial Discrimination Act 1975, Section 18C, makes it unlawful to offend, insult, humiliate, or intimidate someone based on race or ethnic origin. And this is what Esau does all the time. And we're telling you that, hey, the cup that the Lord poured onto us and made us drink, these devils, they're gonna drink that and more. They're gonna drink the dregs. And they know that, and now they're gonna fortify, hey, yeah, you can't say that. Oh, anti-Semitic, this, that, and the third. It says often operating as the civil counterpart to hate speech regulations. If you like more, yeah, boom, boom, boom. So that's fire, man. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, let's read this again real quick, and I'll grab a few more precepts and we'll close out. It says, can a throne of destruction be allied with you, one which frames and devises mischief by decree under the sacred name of law? Yeah, they're trying to, they're setting up snares. They're setting up snares. They're going to take away the word of the Lord. They're gonna outlaw it, but see, it's the Lord taking it. This is the Lord's famine of the word. Let's get it, man. Amos 8 and 11, and I love getting in the NLT because it says beautiful girls and strong young men. All of these bodybuilding, brolic, buff niggas. You gonna be dying of thirst, man. Your soul is gonna be vexed, sore vexed, without this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, man. Okay, so the famine of the word. The unrighteous decrees mingled with the different blackouts and the plague of darkness the Lord is going to bring here. The Lord, yeah, the Lord is not going to have His word. His word is going to be precious in the sight of men, because there's going to be no visions and no prophecies and no answers. People are going to know the Bible is the answer, but hearing the answer, having the men around you to give you the answer and comfort you, that's going to be a thing of the past. Amos 8 and 11, it says, the time is surely coming, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh, when I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread or water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh. People will stagger from sea to sea and wander from border to border, searching for the word of the Lord Yahweh, but they will not find it. Verse 13, beautiful girls and strong young men will grow faint in that day, thirsting for the Lord Yahweh's word, man. All right, so beautiful girls, right? The IG models, the OnlyFans models, the cash at me bitches, all of these motherfuckers, man. These people need a passport, bros. All of these individuals, man. The 2/3, man, the long hair wearing jakes, man. All of these individuals are gonna what, man? They're gonna faint for thirst, thirsting for the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, and they're not gonna find it, man. So, hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect. I know I was mad long with it, but hey, this was a lesson I was putting together. It was all in the spirit, man. So they definitely coming for Babylon the Great, the UK, Australia, and Canada. They got various laws here, you know. And matter of fact, let me get one more precept. Let's get Revelation 13 and 11, right? And it reads, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and that's America, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now, when you go over here, it says that what? The word horn represents it's a symbol of it's supposed to be a representation of deliverance. The horn, right, is kados, right, in the Hebrew or in the Greek.
Strong's G 2768, keros.
Keros. Right, and it represents what? It says a mighty and valiant helper, the author of deliverance of the Messiah. But see, their system is everything against the Messiah, right? Because we showed you, right, the LGBTQ Bible, the Queen James Bible, the gay Bible. That's what it's called down here. See, the gay Bible, Queen James Bible, all right, a gay Bible, right? So they're coming, they're fortifying their wicked ass world behind hate speech law, saying that it's to protect the people that are being victimized by these hate groups. So we got to get rid of the Bible. We got to prevent you from speaking on these things solely based on gender and things like that. Okay, and they're gonna have AI erase a lot of these things that are, that's why they're gonna get rid of the words that they said that faggot you all know Harari said that, and Sam Altman, who was a small hat, is a Mo as well. You know what I'm saying? So they basically said that the words in the Bible and the Quran and all these things. I mean, the Quran is just words in a book, but the Bible and all these things, they're just words in a book that AI can replicate, and that'll, what I'm saying, that's all it is. You feel what I'm saying? So these niggas want to get rid of the word of the Lord, so they're coming and masquerading themselves as what? An author of deliverance, a valiant help. We're going to protect the world against hate speech and against anti-Semitism. These niggas are the devil, and it's really to protect themselves of being it's really to protect themselves of being attacked by the word of the Lord, by the two prophets that's tormenting these niggas day and night. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Hawakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone that do well and taught me the truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. To Wadi Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai for giving me the spirit to do this lesson and endow me with the Holy Spirit and the gift of prophecy and Adawan Ratazah through predestination. I too am counted worthy to escape all of these things and to stand before the Son of Man. All right. So with that, man, Shalom. All right, hey, the time is coming, man, where the Lord is gonna remove His word, man. All right. 1 Samuel 3 and 1 in the BBE. The Lord, hey, let's get it. I'm gonna close out with it. It's like I'm gonna close out with it. So the point is, they're gonna come down. They're gonna start. These devils are gonna start speaking as a dragon. These laws are gonna get real draconian, man. They're gonna speak as a dragon. All right, let's get this. 1 Samuel 3 and 1 in the BBE. And it reads, it says, now the young Samuel was the servant of the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai before Eli. In those days, the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai kept his word secret from men. There were no open visions. He kept his word secret from men. He hid his word. And he's using the devil to hide his word. Knowing he's an unrighteous motherfucker, man. All right, so with that, Shalom.